What's going on? It's Javan Johnson here. You're watching episode number 41 of About 10 Minutes. And while you may be watching this on a Thursday night, it's actually Tuesday night at the time I'm recording this. Was watching the Michigan-Ohio State game earlier. Glad to see Michigan get that win. That game was intense, man. That was an intense basketball game. I was watching it on ESPN. Dun 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 dun. And I was really glad they got that victory. Tim Hardaway hit like 6 3-pointers. I mean, it was a hype game. I mean, there's still a lot more season to be played. And so, this is only one game, but at the point where Michigan was in the season, I really felt like it was important for them to win that game. You got to protect home court. It's important to protect home court. With that being said, on this episode of About 10 Minutes, I want to talk about being a good steward. One passage of scripture that may come to mind on this subject is the parable of the talents, where, different individuals were given talents, in different amounts. And, you can read the story.
Be a good steward over all God has given you. Make sure you give God the glory in your life and do what his word says. Be obedient and learn. Do not be afraid to give the Lord your concerns. Don't rely upon yourself. Cast your cares upon Jesus. Remember his strength is made perfect in weakness. So do not be discouraged if you're facing some roadblocks. God has the answer key. He can open any lock. Keep speaking the truth. Continue to walk by faith. Don't try to rush into something if God has told you to wait. And choose your words wisely. Use them to edify others in the body. If Christ, avoid having pride, and do not be afraid to go and evangelize.
And you can really see, like, you had one individual who just went out and buried his talent. They didn't do anything with it. They buried it. Then you seen, like, the other two, they did something with the talent they had, And so, I mean, it's important, for us to do something with what God has given us, not to sit, on gifts that he's given us that we should be out doing something with. Now, it is important to seek him, for the timing of it and how to go about doing things. With that being said, it's also important that we manage the resources that God has given us well. Whether it's money, whether it's, an opportunity such as a job or a scholarship opportunity. If God blesses you with a scholarship, that's something to take seriously and not to play around with it. If God blesses you with a scholarship and it's a certain standard that you're supposed to maintain, you should work your best to maintain that standard. If you need to study and take care of certain things, that's what you should be doing. If your friends is out doing other stuff, and they may not even be necessarily bad things, but just they out there doing other things during times when you should be studying, or just things that you got to do to maintain that scholarship. If you got to, go to certain meetings or do certain things to maintain that scholarship, then it's important to do that kind of stuff. It's important to manage our money, to do the best we can to manage it well, and not to just spend money frivolously. Just, you get your check on Friday at 5 o'clock, and by 5:09, like 99% of it is already spent. Not on bills, but on what you wanted to go buy, what you seen, the latest thing you seen on TV, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's important that we manage our resources well. When we manage our resources well, we can grow and expand. But if we don't manage them well, then we can just stay in the same cycle of doing things over and over again and wondering why we're not getting ahead. It's important to be a good steward over our resources, over ministries. If you're heading up a ministry, don't take that thing lightly. Even if it's smaller at one point, be faithful over it. Keep letting it grow. I mean, think of it like a seed. When you put a seed in the ground, it doesn't look like a whole lot at first. But as you plant it, take care of it, water it, make sure that you're taking care of it, make sure it's getting sunlight. Over time, it grows. And it's like, with a ministry, it's important to be a good steward over that. If God has entrusted you with a ministry, not saying trusted you, if God has trusted you to do something in ministry, whether it's pastoring or whether it's being any type of leadership, it's important to be a good steward over that ministry, not to take it lightly. And not to just be like, well, this is small right now, so, I want to, when it get bigger, I'll pay more attention to it, but it's small right now. Could you picture if a farmer did that with seeds? Could you picture somebody who was planting seeds did that? They said, well, this seed is small, so I'm going to put it in the ground, but I'm not going to water it until it starts getting bigger. Well, if you want to start getting bigger, you got to water it. And as born-again Christians, it's important that we remember that we are to represent Jesus Christ in every area of our lives. Whether it's around family members and friends, whether it's at work, whether we're out shopping at the store, we should conduct ourselves in a way that glorifies Jesus Christ. It's so important that we still remember, still are in the mindset of, I'm an ambassador for Christ. So we should conduct ourselves that way. You know, we out and about in public by ourselves. It's important that we honoring God in every aspect of our lives. It's not to say that we always do everything perfect, but that we're striving to do the best that we can. We each have influence in one way or another. You could have some younger siblings that look up to you. You could have some people at your church that look up to you. Your friends, you know, co-workers. There could be different people that look to you for certain things. You may not even realize it, but they could really look up to you or really be looking to you for guidance in a certain area. And so it's important that we show forth that love, you know, and then we represent Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not just a thing to just to do it when we're around our church friends, you know, to act a certain way, but then when we get around, like, you know, our non-Christian friends, you know, start acting totally different. I hit on a lot of things, you know, whether it's in my blog entry or whether it's on these shows, you know, various episodes of these shows. And one thing it's important for us not to lose sight of is how important it is to stay in that constant fellowship with Jesus Christ, for us to be prayerful. Prayer is relational in the sense of, you know, we communicating with God, you know, and we spending time with God. And so it's so important, you know, we don't get so busy even into ministry aspects to the fact where we don't actually spend time, you know, in prayer communicating with God. We need to make sure we continue to do that. Thank you for watching episode number 41 of About 10 Minutes. You have a blessed week, okay? You have a blessed week.